Welcome, everyone. Glad you're joining us here. And I'm Doug Kothe, founder of the Organizational Health Collective, and also founder and principal consultant of People Smart Group. And I'm here with my friend, Dr. Terry Wager. Tell them all about yourself, Terry.
I'm Dr. Terry Wager. I am principal consultant with the Generator Group, and my partner, Christine, is co-founder. I am an organizational psychologist who believes strongly in organizational health.
Fantastic. And what is that?
Organizational health is really a movement towards really focusing on your culture development and making sure that everyone in your establishment really understands what your vision is, what your values are, and really bringing everybody together towards building the organization. Look at me, I'm freezing up a little bit because I'm away from my regular place. But we're really on a mission to make work that place that you get a lot of fulfillment and enjoyment from. And so that's what organizational health is all about, is really being able to see the fruits of your labor in fulfillment in your life, not just making a paycheck.
That's great. And sometimes we oftentimes equate that with building a great culture, but sometimes culture gets co-opted into a whole bunch of other stuff. And so organizational health can be better defined often as a thing of its own, which I think is helpful. And I think the underlying reality of that as well, right, is it creates better productivity. Those things you saw at the intro there, if you're watching the intro part of the video, it overturns a lot of those things. It breaks down politics. It breaks down the confusion and gets clarity built into your system, so that people are all on the same page, all rowing in the same direction. It helps to destroy low morale and get you high morale, because people actually enjoy being at work and love what they're doing because they're there for a purpose. They're there they're there for the values. They're there for the purpose. They're there running all in the same direction. And so those things, each of those things you saw at the beginning, are things that organizational health really gets at the roots of and really turns it around and gets you going in the right direction. So if anyone struggles with any of those things, you need organizational health. And we're both part of the Organizational Health Collective as well. And a piece of what that is, it's a group where we meet as consultants and internal practitioners to strengthen one another in our expertise, grow together as a community to help each other to be the best consultants and practitioners that we can possibly be, so that we can have the impact on the world of work that we really desire, which is helping see the world of work changed for the better, so that both people and leadership love what they do, love where they're at, but they also get greater productivity. They get that great competitive advantage that we talk about all the time, right, Terry?
Absolutely.
So today you've noticed, if you've hung around a little bit here and watched our videos, that we like to push a little bit in on some topics. And one of the things I think we like to do is jump in on some of those hard topics, just to help the leaders, right? Leaders have to wrestle with some hard topics, and we want to be able to wrestle with them, for them, and with them, in order for the business leader to be able to say, okay, good, they helped me to process that a little bit. And so we're here to do that with you. And so one of those controversial topics, Terry, that we've been hearing a ton about is the work from home. Is it a terrible idea? Is it a great idea? You get the Elon Musk version of get your butt to work or I'm firing you. Or you get the other side of, hey, you know what? The workers are like, hey, I'm either working from home or I quit. And then there's everywhere in between. And so how do we solve this one?
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about what we're doing, you and I, talking about these topics, is really looking at both sides of them. You know, I honestly believe that working in a group is a fun thing to do, but I definitely see the pull of working from home. And as a consultant with my own consulting business, I've worked from home for years, but there's nothing for me like going into a business I'm working with and being in the business. It feels different, and there's a different momentum with it that
Mm,
isn't necessarily there at home. And so I can see both sides. Um,
yeah.
and I think that a lot of times, my belief is that when people are worried about work from home and they're worried about productivity and they're worried about people slacking off, their focus is on the wrong thing.
Agreed. Agreed.
And so, you agree? Let me know. Let me have you share the airwaves a little bit and talk about where you see it as
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
focusing
mean, I
on the
hear
wrong.
you say that. And I agree as well. I mean, I think the focus on productivity, if anything, the stats show what people work harder and more. They're getting more done at home than they did actually in the office at times. And some of that, I think, my fear is they're going to overwork because they're constantly in the face of their work and it's right there in front of them, and they don't have that separation for life a lot of times. And so I think that could be a problem. But I think the other piece that I see, and as I think about it, is it's a situation to situation reality, right? So it kind of depends what is best for your organization. I mean, certain organizations lend themselves really well to being able to work online, to be able to work from home, and having that virtual team. But no matter what you do, the dynamic of a virtual team is always going to be harder to build the culture as well as it is if you're rubbing shoulders in an office, because you don't have those passive moments where you're just passing by, talking to each other or seeing each other. You don't get the nonverbals all the time. You don't get life lived together in a place together.
Yeah,
And so that's a challenge to be overcome. It's not something that should automatically knock everything out, but
right,
it's a challenge to overcome.
right. And it's funny because I'm not a big fan of the word synergy because it's been used too much, but there is a
Yeah.
synergistic effect of people being together in a room. But I have a client that I'm coaching on how to put a business together, and she works with businesses doing workflows.
Yep.
And one of her clients wanted her to come and be a part of the office and have office, office time and put these workflows together in there. And it's like, okay, so she goes to the office, turns on her computer, and then talks to everybody over the computer, sharing her screen when they're a cubicle away,
Mm, wow.
because they need to actually be talking about the process through the computer.
Huh.
That's utter insanity. Why waste, and she had to drive an hour and a half to get to this office. And it's like, why would you do that? Her
Right.
job makes more sense to be remote.
Yes.
Um, and then, having meetings where people actually have to sit and mull things over, that kind of makes sense to be in person.
Yeah.
But I think this day and age of Zoom after COVID and everything showed us that it's very possible to get work done. Now it's how do we actually get people to be enjoying what they do enough to stay and be
Yep.
productive. And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with whether we're working at home or they're working in the office, because there's plenty of people that go in the office and waste time or don't stay on
Yep.
task. And it's because they are not part of the vision.
Right. Yep. Yeah. They're busy focused in other directions or not doing things or not doing what they're supposed to,
Or
right? So
Facebook or
yeah.
buying their next thing.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that
The
people do.
office, the office, pool for some football game, or they're playing
There
the
you go.
fantasy football league the whole
Yeah,
time, or they're
shoot, I got to get to work. March Madness is happening. Um,
right, right, yeah. I'm gonna check
I
my
don't want to
brackets.
miss out on the pool. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but and I think that the reality is a lot of businesses hire for coverage and they hire to get somebody in there to do the job, and they hire out of stress, they hire out of fear, they hire out of this idea of wanting to grow whatever. I was just talking to another friend of mine a couple of days ago about expansion, and is expansion a good idea? Business wants to expand. I mean, that's what it's for. But if you're not having a good hiring process and bringing the right people in, you're going to have to micro monitor or micromanage people at home, or what's their time online, what's their time doing their work,
Yep.
because you hired people who weren't in.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and one of the complaints is you get people online for online meetings or that sort of thing, and people are checked out and they just kind of show up and they listen to the meeting, but they're not really a part of the meeting. And if that's your problem, then you need to go back to last time we talked about meetings, because your meeting sucks. It's not the
Absolutely.
venue. Your meeting sucks.
Absolutely.
You're get They don't need to be there. I mean, if they can sit there and just listen in and not really be present, or they can not do anything else, or not even be there really, but just have checked in and be online just because so they check the box, well, then you got a problem with your meeting. That is not
Yeah,
a problem with it being virtual. That is a problem that your meeting sucks.
absolutely. And so I think it goes back to really being intentional about why you're doing what you're doing and really going, okay, uh, talk about a meeting again. It's the idea of what's the agenda of this meeting, or not the agenda, but the context of this meeting. What's the context of working from home? What's the context of working in the office? Do I want them to work in the office because I'm lonely?
Mm,
Some people do.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm the owner of the business and I'm lonely. I want people here with me. Okay, well,
Right.
give them a reason to want to be there, because I guarantee that if that's the reason and you're not honest with yourself, number one, there's going to be a lot of stress or a lot of angst
Yep.
in
Yep.
trying to get people to be hanging out with you, rather than uh, a real solid good reason why. And then
Yeah.
you got to try to defend yourself in some cockamamie reason, like, well, we got to get more work. No, you're lonely,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yep.
maybe you should go get a pastime. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it's like, if it is that, and you like the noise and you like the hustle and bustle, well, make it exciting and fun for them, not
Yeah.
necessarily playing games or anything, but a light atmosphere where there's camaraderie and there's a
Yeah.
shared mission of this is what we're doing here. This is and
Mm,
this is why we're doing it. It always goes back to vision and mission.
yep.
Um, and then I think that there's also a value statement. We belong in the office because we believe we get more done this way. If that's something that you truly believe, then you got to actually help people understand why you believe that,
Yep.
and you got to hire those people that think the same way you do.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I was just at a conference today, and I do some stuff with different companies in the aerospace industry. And one of those companies, I love this one of the speakers. They were on a panel, and this particular speaker was from Axiom Space here in Houston, and he was saying the beauty of co-location for them, the commercial space industry. If you're not familiar with the space industry, NASA moves kind of slowly and methodically in things, and so do a lot of the old companies that worked with them. And then you've got the cowboy version on the new frontier of the SpaceXs and the Axioms and the intuitive machines, that they realize, hey, if we're going to have a commercial purpose for this, we've got to get to profitability and we got to get there quick, because no one's going to just keep throwing us money. We don't have a government behind us that's just going to throw us, oh, we need $1 billion. Oh, here you go. We'll just write some checks. They know they've got to make some money out of this. They've got to get it to profitability quick. So they're moving on the quick. And so he was just making the point, co-location for them is vital because they build the relationships and they can make quick decisions together, because it's easier to just walk over to someone and go, hey, we got to look at this. What do you think? Can we do it? Okay, good. We can go do it. Okay. Then they head back to their group and they're working on it. And so the idea that their groups are right next to each other helps them. The idea that they are all in that same space allows them to know each other well enough. It allows them to have a flatter structure as an organization so that they can then have all those interconnections, both with the leadership, and they can have the connections between the different groups working on the different pieces of, in their case, a space station. And so, hey, this actually helps. I need the guy who's the brains about this deal, and he's over in that seat over there, rather than, hey, I got to try and get him on a Zoom and see when I fit in his calendar. No, I see
Right.
him and I walk to
The
him.
the thing I think about with those guys is as soon as they get the space station working, they're going to have to be okay with working from home,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, or working from space. Um,
There you go.
and,
Hey,
and
that'd be nice.
right. And so I that's a great example, is the 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 quickness with which we can move from station to station, or group to group, department to department, is super important. And it all falls back into communication. Is, are we going to communicate better or Dewey, and there's communication platforms out there that are really actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Slack, there's Bro6, there's a Crew app that one of my clients uses to talk to all of her restaurants at the same time. And so there's things out there that make communication easier. But I think that there's also something that everybody that's in leadership has to look at is how much are you using work from home or needing to be in the office or whatnot as an excuse because you haven't actually created cohesion.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
that's one of the things that I think about a lot when I start hearing that. And I'm not saying that there aren't cohesive teams that are having problems with communication at work and home, or the work from home kind of stuff, because there's always going to be hiccups. There's always going to be difficulties. There's always going to be not just best practices, but better as they flow, and we start to see that the process can be improved even. But
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of excuses being thrown around rather than looking at how's our cohesion. Are
Yeah.
we looking at ourselves as a leadership team, taking responsibility for not having the clarity that our people really are desiring?
Yep.
And so they're losing interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when
And
we can look at
I think there's a key piece that you hit there is clarity as well, because I think so many organizations run into the problem of someone declares we're going to do X, and there's the why question. And again, clarity is all about we need to know the why. Our why drives, purpose drives. Purpose pulls people together. When there's something bigger than me, then I move forward with that, even when it doesn't fit who I am or what I want or my preferences, because I'm driven by something that's bigger than me. I'm driven by something that I'm aiming toward, that I go, you know what? If this is what it takes to get there, I'm willing to set myself aside for that. And so most leaders, if you want to say this or that method is better, you need to have a why. And that why has to make sense to everybody.
yeah,
And so you need that clarity. You need to get down to why would we do this? Why is this better? And that'll take a debate. That'll take some input. And it shouldn't just be, hey, me as a leader, it's better because I said so. No,
right.
actually, you probably want people to weigh in and say, hey, here's the 46 different thoughts about why that's good, not good, better, worse. And then let's look at it and let's put it all together and let's come down to the point of, okay, now as we look at the pot of reasons why one would be good, the other would be good, what's the best answer? Oh, good. We
Exactly.
came to the best answer. Good. We may not all like the best answer, but let's all be on the same page and go forward with the best answer because we know it's best for us to accomplish our purpose.
And because we all got to say what we think, it's
Yep.
easier to let go of something that you thought if
Yeah.
if it really makes sense to have the betterment of the organization. Well, I wanted this little piece. Well, it doesn't really fit there. Okay, well, I can let go of that
Yep.
because I'm thinking of the betterment of the organization rather than my own selfish, self-centered kind of thinking. And sometimes that is, well, I think it'd be better for me to work from home because then I don't have to travel.
Yep.
Well, yeah, betterment of the company says work in the office. Okay, well, for the betterment of the company, that makes sense, and I can
Yep.
let go of that. And
Right.
I think people
Well,
get too rigid.
yeah. Well, and it gives a legit reason on the company side to say, okay, well, this is a best interest of the company. So if you don't do it, then you may need to go somewhere that you can do what you really want most, which is work from home.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
It's not that we
Well,
don't like you anymore. It's just this actually is what's essential to further the company's well-being. So therefore, we've got to make that decision, and you've got to either decide to be with it or not be with it. Now, and
absolutely.
if that, and the same with virtual. Same if it's the virtual decision. I mean, if that's the better option, then great. But it's got to be for
And
that higher purpose.
I think it's really important to be able to have that discussion and really understand what are we getting out of being the in-person group? What are we getting out of the virtual? Like for my example, my client that it doesn't make sense, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
time wasted
Yep.
in creating online processes. But there's I want to work from home. You're a cook in a restaurant. You can't.
All right.
you know And like you got to look at what
Can't we have a courier run it back and forth? I mean, yeah, right.
you know, and it's we got to really kind of understand what that, you know. I want to work
Yeah,
from home. You're building the house. You can't.
right,
Oh,
right. It's not gonna
oh
work.
yeah. I can't shoot a nail from across the city.
Yeah,
And we got to really step back and be more intentional about what is the real purpose of being in the office or at home or doing whatever work we're doing, because the fact
right.
of the matter is maybe your job isn't really that important and
Yep.
it was just there, and now AI took it over, so we don't need you. You know,
Oh, well, and
just
I
kidding.
think there's
I
another
saw
piece of
something
that
on LinkedIn the
puzzle.
other day that was like, we're gonna lose 52% of our jobs. A friend of mine said, no, people aren't gonna lose their jobs to AI. They're gonna lose jobs to people who know how to do AI the best.
Yep.
And
Well
I was like,
said.
that's brilliant. That's
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah. If we're
I've
not
quoted it
learners,
like 3 or 4
we're gonna
times
lose our job.
because that is such a smart idea. And it's like, you're going to lose your job to the people who do your job better and want to show up for the vision of the company, however it is. And so if you're interested in having your job and you're interested in being a part of a team, then you're interested in understanding why they want you there.
Yep. Well said. I like it. Yeah, no doubt. And it's. I think there's another space. We've talked about the space of, hey, this is the work from home side, and hey, this is the, hey, we're going to work from the office side. But there's this hybrid space, and I think some companies on the hybrid have gone to hybrid, not because it's the best idea, but because it was a compromise.
Absolutely.
And again, that's where it's like, as a leader, look, will you lead? Will you get your people and say what is best and why are we doing it? And if 2 to 3 days a week in the office is best, fine. Let's keep doing it. That's awesome. Let's go that route. And what 2 to 3 days are best, or what, how do we define all that? But not every company has gone there. They've just randomly, willy nilly said, okay, fine. Well, we'll do 3 days in the office and 2 days, Monday and Friday, you don't have to show up at the office. Well, why Monday and Friday? And why
Right.
those 3 days? And
Well,
they don't have a
yeah,
why.
yeah.
They just said,
What I'm
well,
hearing from
heck,
you,
people want to work from home. They don't want to drive here anymore. So we're going to give them 2 days that they can work from home.
right? And what I'm hearing from you is really they turned strategy into hostage negotiation. Um,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
what's hostage? My position.
Yep.
I'm holding my position hostage, and if you don't do it my way, then you're not going to get my work done, because I'm not going to do it. And so, okay, fine. If we'll give you 2 days if you just do your job. And it's like, wait a minute. And there's a mentor and friend of mine named Larry Wingett that wrote a book it's called Work for a Reason. And I swear to God, somewhere around 2020, we all lost our minds around the idea that work is work and it's what you're doing to get paid for. And compromise is not part of the package.
Yeah.
Compromise is not part of the benefits package. And I mean the leadership compromising.
Yep.
There's too much compromise. And I mean, I see it in families, I see it in politics, I see it in politically correctness is we're compromising values
Right.
to attempt to try to make people happy. And then
Yep.
really what happens is it turns into more and more and more compromise, and nobody's happy because
Yep.
nobody actually put a flag in the ground and said, this is what we're doing. This is
Yep.
why we're doing it. And
Right.
this is what we want to see from us doing this. And they become wishy-washy, they compromise. And I mean, I always use a visual for this with people, and I don't show them this, but I say, I want you to think about a boat in the middle of a harbor, and now think of its hull being compromised.
Mm.
What's going to happen? Well, it's going to sink. Yes, and that's what happens when we compromise. And
Yep.
compromising isn't coming to an agreement because we've gone through all of the different reasoning and had the conflict and really got into that adventure of conflict and really discussed it. Conflict or compromise is when I don't actually share my opinion. I don't share what I'm thinking. I don't become vulnerable, but I just give in.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
that's what a lot of leadership does is, well, we don't want to lose our people, so we're going to compromise and let them have 2 days. Okay, great. Now they want 3.
Now what are you going to do?
Oh God.
Oh,
Well, I think we could do it 3.
yeah.
Again, it's a restaurant. No, you can't. You know.
Right. Well, now we'd like a virtual week every month as well. So we'll do
Yes.
those other days, 2-3 of the weeks, but then we want a virtual week altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, where does it end? Where does it start? Where do you?
Exactly.
And again, I
And
think some of the roots of that are what? Even the leadership doesn't have clarity.
exactly.
So they lack
Exactly.
any clarity. They don't have anything to pin it to. And so
Exactly.
they're screwed because they're sitting there going, I have no idea how to defend this because I really don't have a purpose. I really don't have a reason. I really don't have
Right.
a why to say why no or yes. And so they're sitting there perfectly in midair going, I don't know.
Yeah. And in defense of the leadership, they may have a great why and they may have a great mission and they may have values, but they're compromising them because they forgot that you can't have everybody in your system if everybody isn't on board. It's like I want all these people to be on my train. Yeah, but they don't want to get on. Well, I'm gonna have them get on. I'm gonna tell them that I'm gonna take them where they want to go. I'm gonna give them everything they want, and then I'll have all the people. Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna give them everything.
Yep.
You're lying to them then.
Yep.
And so it's best if you tell them what they're not going to like if they work for you, and tell them what they are going to get for real if they do work for you, and let them make the decision and hire the right way
Yep.
with a process of eliminating the people that don't fit instead of trying to get everybody so you are staffed up.
Mm.
And I think that that's a real big thing when we're looking at why are people not showing up? And I don't mean like staying at home and working, but I mean showing up in their job, in their productivity, in
Yep.
their sharing their opinion, becoming vulnerable, being a part of the team. They're not showing up because we haven't really said what showing up is looking like
Yep.
and what needs to happen for that.
Right.
And then we as leaders may have it inside of us, but we're not shouting
Right.
from the rooftops what we're looking for.
Yep. Yeah, and you bring up a good point too. There in the hiring reality, is that your buy-in point to our mission, your buy-in point to our why, your buy-in point to our values, your buy-in point to be on the ship that has a destination, is when you're hired, and you agreed to go there, and
Yep.
whatever gets us there together, we're going to do, and we're all going to voice what we think is best for that travel.
Yeah.
And you've got to
Absolutely.
be a part of that, or you got to get off the ship.
And so I would kind of start wrapping this idea up with what you just said. And the idea is, look, if you're having problems with people wanting to work from home or people not buying into that, and you're seeing that you're compromising in that strategy, and people don't, the people are controlling how you make the hours of your business, then you're having a problem with your hiring system and you're not onboarding them right in the way
Yep.
that they understand that they're part of something bigger. And you got to go back to your hiring strategy and really look at, are we actually attracting and bringing on the people that are going to fit this culture?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the thing that you're saying, Terry, so well, and I think we're both getting at, is it's a whole system reality. You've got to build health. You've got to build the clarity, the cohesiveness, all of it into the whole system. Not just, hey, the leadership team's on the right page. Hey, the leadership team gets where we're going. No, then we've passed that down, And everyone at every level understands the clarity of, hey, who we are, where we're going, this is the ship. And then we've put that into our hiring and onboarding procedures, and everything that we do gets everybody on board doing the same thing, going the same direction. And our values aren't just something on a website somewhere. They're something that means something. Our why is something that's in the very heart of every employee sitting in that company. And if it's not, they're going somewhere else, because we really mean it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why is the blood? And I'm not talking about go find your why out there. It's
No.
really look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. Why is right in front of your face. It's not a journey like Simon Sinek talks about, finding your why or starting with why. What? It's no. This is right here, right now, and I'm doing this because of that. And who wants to be on board with me?
Yep.
And it's very practical. It's not a journey. It's a declaration.
Yeah. And it's not about a single individual. It's about a collective going in a direction. And
Absolutely.
we're together, and we're getting there together, and we can't get there alone. And so
Yeah.
leaders as well need to have recognized, hey, guess what? I need everyone else on board and going in this direction, or we don't accomplish those collective goals.
Yeah.
And vice versa, they need to be on board, or they can't be a part of those collective goals either.
Yeah, whether it's a work from the office kind of thing, work from home kind of thing, virtual or in person, are you on board with where we're going?
Yep.
Because if you're on board, we'll get there.
So folks, just as we wrap, we'll just encourage you. There is so much to this dialogue, but the big piece that I hope you walk away with today is you're going to know why you're doing what you're doing. Make the decision because of a purpose. Make the decision on purpose. That, hey, this is a good reason why we would be virtual. This is a good reason why we'd be hybrid. This is a good reason why we would be in person. And it really fits our company. And that's why, because of the collective results and the collective goal we're going for. Not just because this is what people want, or this is what the leader wants. Who cares?
Absolutely. And if you're struggling with this particular problem and you're looking to chat with somebody about it, reach out to Doug, reach out to myself. We would love to be able to have a conversation around how we can actually help you become more organizationally healthy and more cohesive as a team. So reach out to us if this is ringing true to you.
Yep. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.